Hello and welcome to Simon's Discoveries. Today I wanted to bitch about something a little bit different. I'm not sure if you're all familiar with the channel called Cedric and Ada Gear and Outdoors. I'm about to do something I haven't done before, namely review another channel. Well, not really. I don't feel like I'm in position to review other channels, but it's just a channel that I think you should all check out. It's run by a really nice guy, Pete, who does this crazy steel testing and stuff like this. Recently, he started bringing those different types of steels on his knives to crazy angles, like 20, 13-degree angles. And unleashing them, so he calls it, and bringing them to the max of the potential, which is actually kind of cool. I really like this channel. I really like his attitude, and he's always really humble. He always says that we shouldn't take it too seriously because this isn't scientific. It's just what he does for fun. But if you ask me, he is actually really consistent with his methods, and it is as close as to scientific as a YouTube channel gets. So I really admire what he does, and I generally like the results. I refer to his results. I go to these numbers every time I'm looking for another knife, and I'm comparing different steels and all that. So where's the freaking bitching, you might ask? Well, I've mentioned this a few times before, but he always says, if you see something wrong with my methods, don't tell me, show me. Well, this is my way of showing you. So, those fine edges he's recently started doing, I have absolutely no problem with his methodology or how he does his things with cutting rope. I have not much experience with cutting rope myself whatsoever, so I'm not going to criticize that. But when it comes to bitching, that's kind of my thing. So sorry, Pete, we're going to have to get to cutting wood. So after cutting rope, after testing the knife on the paper, he proceeds to show us how this edge, this really acute, sharp edge, is still capable of taking some pretty heavy, so he thinks, pretty heavy wood carving. This is exactly what my problem with this whole thing is. Whenever he proceeds to carving wood, it's like something screams inside me. If you're gonna prove to me that this is still a durable edge that can take and withstand some heavy carving, don't just be stroking it like it's a cat or a dog or something. Just take some sizable chunks of this wood off, because if you were to sharpen a steak of, let's say, this thickness, and you kept on doing it like you're doing it, that would take you forever. You would never get anywhere with that. You need to cut deeper. You really need to drop that thumb grip, whatever the hell that is. That's just, I see so many people do that. So many people, there's absolutely no control behind this. There is no force behind this grip. This is good. In my books, this is only good for sharpening pencils. Anything else, anything that requires any force or any work to be done, this is completely useless for. And this isn't just me talking, because I can already see those comments under this video like, Simon, you're such an asshole. You always think you know better than everybody else. Well, I really do think I know better than people who do that. And it's not just because I came up with this myself. It's because I've read many books on this topic, and I kind of tested this myself as well. And so, this isn't my invention. This isn't something I'm trying to, something new. This thing has been around for decades. Let's just take a look at what Morsko has to say about it. Let's take a look at what Ray Mears has to say about it. But I get it. You may say that those are just bushcrafters. You know, bushcraft isn't even a real craft. This is just like witchcraft or some bullshit, you know. These people don't really do anything for a living other than sell crap and, you know, pretend to be somebody. All right, but how about carving? How about Ville Sundqvist? This is a guy who was actually carving for a living. So he was a professional carver. His son is a professional carver, and in one of his books you can see clearly all those techniques, and he explains why this and that grip makes sense, why something other than that does not make sense. So this, like I say, yeah, I can understand that this can be perceived as me being a troll, which I am, so it's fair enough. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you're trying to fix the game or doctor the result. I'm just saying that this is, yeah, that's the only hole in your game. So yeah, this is just my point, you know. This is actually a big deal to me. Well, a big deal, and kind of, because I use my knives primarily for cutting wood. So whenever somebody comes out, and somebody like Pete, who is actually pretty knowledgeable when it comes to steels and knives. So if someone like that comes out and says, look at that, I can sharpen this knife to a crazy angle and it can still cut wood without any damage. And I call bullshit on that. I'm sorry, but you don't put enough force behind it. You don't have, first of all, you don't even have the proper grip to put enough force behind it. You don't really put those knives through enough stress, like cutting at an angle, like notching or something like this, you know, carving a hole, carving a little hollows in the wood, and essentially, like, yeah, putting the knife in the wood at certain angles, different angles, not just straight at a really shallow angle. This just isn't proving anything. I mean, especially when you hit a knot or something like that. You know, how I know that? Because I've done it. I've done it many times. Take a brand new Mora with the factory edge, take it to a piece of hardwood. There's usually going to be some knots, even tiny little knots, and start carving like you mean it, and you're just going to roll the edge like crazy. I mean, it's just going to be all over the place. I've done it so many times. I took the cold steel, what's it called? That fin woof. Cold steel fin woof, that's the OS 8A, so annealed, relatively soft steel, really keen edge, really keen, probably about, I don't know, 11 degrees per side or something, factory edge, really crazy. It's like straight razor. The problem with that is, yeah, I mean, I took it the first time I took it into the woods, I started carving a stick. I think I wanted to make myself a walking stick. And obviously I just picked up a stick. I'm not gonna, you know, wood isn't perfect, especially the wood that you find in the forest. You know, you can find some lumber, which is not free if you pay, you know, enough money for it. But the wood that you find on the floor, on the ground, it's just what it is, you know. Sometimes it's knotty, it's usually just crooked and all that. So, you know, I started carving and it was going all smooth. It looked perfect. And then I just took a look at the edge, and I'm like, damn, this thing is ruined. I mean, I didn't even do anything with this. I just, you know, took a few chunks off of this piece of wood. And then I watched Pete's video, one of those about, I don't know how many he's got on Finwolf, but he's definitely got at least one. And I watched that video and I saw him carve a piece of wood with the same knife, with, you know, supposedly the same edge, and you know, and he says there is absolutely no damage. So either I'm doing something wrong or you're doing something wrong. I don't know. Maybe I just got it. You know, I could have thought, under different circumstances, I would have thought that maybe there's something wrong with my knife. And he's got a better version, probably better heat treat or something like this, and there's something wrong with my knife. The problem with that assumption is, this isn't the only knife that's happened to when I was using it. So there, you know, like I mentioned, more knives. Out of the box, more knives. When you do the same thing, the exact same result. When you're actually using your knife for carving wood, when you have a certain job to do, so to speak, when you're not just playing around, because playing around is easy. You can demonstrate something by whittling, like quickly chop, 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 and it's all good, you know, nothing happened. But you didn't really have any goal in mind. It was just like carving something, sharpening a steak or something, but you didn't really want to even sharpen a steak, because if you did, you would be going deeper, you would be going harder, because you need to do it in a certain amount of time. There's another maybe 5 more steaks to do, you know, this type of thing. So basically, real life use is a little different than I don't want to say fake demonstration, but somewhat artificial demonstration, where you don't necessarily have to do what you're doing, you just want to show it for the sake of showing it. So yeah, I guess there was a lot of bitching. I hope that's enough for you. I hope I didn't offend anybody too much. I just didn't want to, I don't want this to be too serious. I don't want you to take it like dead serious. I'm not knocking nobody. I'm not trying to be an ass. I'm just trying to make my point the best I can. Alright, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and see you next time.